Hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. So this is the Bluetti AC200P that we did a unboxing of and introduction of here in my last video. If you haven't seen that, you should probably go back and watch it. Just to really quickly summarize, Bluetti has been watching the competition and decided to beat them in every single possible way, and this unit does it. But they sent me along the kit. Now you can see behind me these two boxes. They sent me three 200-watt panels, and so I have a total of 600 watts of solar, and this and the solar is $3,000, and that's a lot of money. That's an awful lot of money. And so this video is a test of the solar panels. Now, because it's Bluetti, I'm 100% confident it'll be fantastic, be high quality, but they're very, very expensive. Let me get one open for you. So they make two sizes of panels, the 120 and the 200, and this is the 200. And for a lot of you, a 200 and the ACP 200 would probably be all you would need. So this is it, and it looks just like an awful lot of them. It's fairly heavy. It's much heavier than most of them are, but very few of them are 200 watts. So getting it all in 200 watts means that you only have to mess around with one panel, and that's handy, very handy. And I'm assuming that all the cabling is in here. So yeah, it's a standard. That's a nice, better looking cable than a lot of them are. This is a very thick, heavy cable. And this is just a standard MC4. That just means that you can plug this panel to anything. If you get something like a Jackery, you can plug this into your Jackery, but you'll have to get the adapter from MC4 to theirs, which I believe is 8 millimeters. You can plug this into anything. You just have to get an adapter. And it's long. That's good. That's very good. The longer the better. One of the ideas that you want out of these things is to be able to put your rig in the shade and the panels out in the sun. Then you stay cool while and that's a very long cord. So you're off to a good start with a good long cord. So just so you can see this thing, you can see I hung it off of my ambulance. Of course, my ambulance is really tall. What you would do instead if you say you have a van, is I would put it on the side, and if I had to, I'd mount hooks right into the side at the grommet there, and there's a grommet at the bottom, and then I would just hang it across the side of the van. And then with this one, if you do have a tall enough vehicle that you can hang it lengthwise, I would then just get there's grommets at the bottom, and I would just get some stakes, a couple of stakes, and stake it out like that so I can change the angle. And of course now it's giving shade to the van as well. Now they sent this to me. Again, I didn't pay for this. This was all sent to me for free. And so I have 600 watts, and that's I already have 720 watts on the roof of my ambulance. I don't really need this at all. But I really do want to park in the shade. I'm in the sun now and it's getting hot. And so that is a really big deal. So this is going to be a bit of a hassle because it's pretty big, awkward, and heavy. But if I get it away from the sun and my vehicle in the shade, oh man, I'm going to be so happy about that. So I'm just going to real quickly open this other box. I'm assuming they sent me the kit with the 300, the three different 200-watt panels. But I'll get this opened and we'll have a look and see, and we'll know it for sure. And so once inside, it's just two more of the panels. So as you can see, this is what it tells us. It's the SP200, 200 watt. ETFE is the kind of material, and they claim that if this is superior material, will last better in the sun and won't wear and abrades as fast. Only time will tell. They're 23.5 volts. 20 volt is normal. It's putting out 10 amps. So I would run this, personally, I would run them in serial. Well, you could do them in serial if you wanted to, but the rest of us will put them in series, and that would mean you're going to have about 60 volts coming out of the three panels going into your into the AC200P. It is rated to take from 35 to 100. So that's nothing. It would be very happy with that. And that's called headroom. When you give them more power and more voltage, that gives the MPPT controller, the algorithm in it, more room to play with it and manipulate it to get the maximum out into the battery. So that's good. I actually recommend that you almost always run your in series as long as you have a controller that's designed for that. So what I personally would do and will do with these is I will run them in series. So that would take the 23 volt times 3, and so I'd be at about 69 or 70 volts. There's a lot of advantages to have them in series, and I think I recommend that you always run them in series. First, you can run a smaller cable a longer distance. So at 70 volts, a 10 gauge cable, which is going to be a lot cheaper than anything bigger, it's going to be a lot easier to handle. It's not going to be that thick, heavy wire, which the 8 or a 6 gauge would be. You can run this 50 feet easily at 69 volts in a 10 gauge cable and have no loss. And that's the goal. You don't want any loss if you possibly can. You bought the power, why throw it away in a cheap cable? And so that's what I will do. I'll run them in series. I'll show you how to do that. And then I would run this one cable all the way across. I've been started using a duplex cable, and I'll show you that it isn't here yet. When I get it, I'll show you that. That means it's the two cables, a red one and a black one, wrapped inside an outer shell casing. That's going to protect the cable. It's going to make it easier to fold it and unfold it and stow it away. In every way, you're better off. I personally, you're going to spend more. You're buying another sheath on the outside of the two cables. In fact, I did the whole van with duplex cable, and I think it's just a much neater and safer. You now have an extra sheath around it, particularly in the weather. This will be out in the weather its whole life, those cables. And so the sun and rain and people handling it and dogs peeing on it, that extra sheath, I think, is going to give me a lot of protection and safety for the cable. I think that's important. When it gets here, I'll show you. I paid more. You're paying more. You're getting more. You're paying more. But I think it'll be worth it, and I'll show you that as soon as I have it. But this all looks good. It's all standard stuff. Being Bluetti, I believe it's going to be super high quality, and we'll have to test it and do a long-term test to find out. That's why they sent it to me to do a long-term test, and we'll get to know all about that. Okay, let me get more of these out of here so we can see them. So one of the things they offer are the stands. This is one of them, and it would work like this. And I'm assuming there will be one on each of the panels. This is a much bigger stand than most. Most of these have a little tiny strip. And so this is a much more substantial stand. So I deployed out the legs on each one, and I'll tell you, this is by far the most stable of any of these I've ever seen. This is, it's not just gonna, they all kind of are a mess. All the other ones I've ever seen and handled. This one is very solid. I mean, it's not just waving around and one of them's pointed one direction, the other one's pointed the other direction. These are all very solid. And I think it's because they're such big, wide plates that they're getting a much better purchase on all four of them. But this is exceptionally good. And this is a very good angle. It's probably 45 degrees, and that for the United States, lower 48 United States, that's probably the perfect. You get up really high, it might be want it different, or down in the Florida Keys, you might want it different, but 45 is the perfect angle for basically all of the United States. That's really good. That's exceptional. The way this is set up and outgoing. And you do have the grommets on each end, and I would probably put a stake down and tie off the ends, and that way I wouldn't be worried about the wind blowing it around. Of course, they're not waterproof. The manual says they're not waterproof, tells you don't get them wet. So you have to be tuned in. They certainly are not pee-proof. And if you have a dog or another dog in your neighborhood, or one of your friends has a dog that likes to pee on things, these are popular things to pee on, and don't let that happen. Okay, are you ready for the big shock? These panels are $500, which is an awful lot of money. Remember, they're 200 watts, and so essentially you're buying two 100 watters, which is why, again, they're big. You see that they're big, but you're getting two 100 watters, and if you think of it that way, they're actually not big at all. That means you're paying $250 for a 100 watt panel. So again, I'm going to make the comparison to Jackery because they're kind of the leader in the field. So a single 100 watt panel Jackery is $300. Two of them is $600. So this is $500. And when you buy it in the kit, it drops down substantially. So it's a premium product and you're getting a premium price. So now I'm going to put the voltmeter on it. We got good sun. It's a little early in the morning. The sun's not at full height, but I believe we'll still be fine. And we'll do a voltmeter test to make sure these are all putting out the right volts and the right amps. Again, the positive is male and the negative is a female. And so we'll put the negative into the negative, positive into the positive, and we've got 22.79 volts. So that's just what it should be. Although right now the sun went just behind some clouds. So 22.8. That's just where we should be. This should be putting about 22 volts. And so that's good. And if we connect them together, and then put the clamp meter, if you don't remember, this is the clamp meter, and when I've opened that. So now we're going to check the amps, and checking amps, this is an amp meter. It's a 12 volt amp meter. It used to be hard to buy a 12 volt amp meter for less than, like $500. They were all really expensive, but this is $35 off of Amazon. It's been fantastic for me. So to find out, we just simply open it, put it in, and close it, and we're bouncing around because the sun's behind a cloud. Just like you would expect, I get out an amp meter and start to try and test my solar panel, and a cloud comes in and covers the sun. So it's bounced around from 10. It was at 10 for a while. Right now it's down to 3.6. That just shows you, and you can probably see on my face, that we're in a bit of a shadow now. So that just goes to show you I'm down to 3.55. How critically important, even a little bit of haze. I've lost 2/3 of the amps going in just by that little cloud. But when I started, it was mostly clear, and I was up at 10 amps, which is right where it should be. And I'm just watching it go up and down with the thickness of the cloud. It got down, right now it's still at 3.2. And if you can see, where can I show a cloud? You can there is no, one of the tricks I use is there a shadow? And if you can't see a shadow, you've probably lost it, but it's still kind of bright. You've lost at least 2/3 of your power. And so that's what we're seeing here. There's no shadow that I can see, and very tiny if there's any, and we're down to about 1/3. But it was in full sun briefly, and I was getting my 10 amps, just what I want. This panel is working perfectly. So now I will go ahead and test all three of the panels and get back to you how they did. So I've tested the other two, and they all work just fine. I had to wait to get a little bit of patchy sun, and it didn't last very long, but I've tested each one of them in full sun, and they've all tested out just right. They're running great. So what questions do you have? I'll try to answer all your questions before my next video. So leave a comment below and tell me your question. What question have I not answered for you here, and what question do you have? And I'll try and answer it in that video. Okay, again, highly recommended. I think this is your best bang for your buck right now if you need a really big, powerful system, and I know some of you do. Okay, I hope you got something out of this video. I just know that a lot of you love these, and these are the choices you're going to make, and I just want to help you make the very best choice, get the highest quality, the best product for the least amount of money, and right now, that's Bluetti. So if you got anything out of this video, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, share it with your friends, and we'll talk to you later.